You know, there's nothing more noble than growing stuff on the land. That's what I think. Growing any sort of crop or animals on the land, it gives you a buzz, and that's why we do it. That's why I do it.
It's a very different plant to what I'm used to. It's good to see it turn white. That's always nice to see.
It's quite challenging to grow this crop up here, but you know, that's what keeps you alive. We all want that challenge in life.
Cotton produces lint and seed and trash. So the bulk of the trash stays in the paddock as the stubble. The lint is just used for spinning and turning into cotton or cotton garments. The seed can be sold as a feed supplement to livestock producers, or it can be crushed for oil. The oil is produced and used in cooking and cosmetics and soaps and stuff like that. And then the hulls from those crushed seeds can also be turned into a meal for feeding. So all the product that is taken off the bush is used one way or another. Australia has the best cotton in the world. It's the premium product, so we've got the stronger fibre, the premium fibre length, we've got the bright cotton, all the things that the premium users want for their premium product.
We've been looking for a broadacre crop that we can irrigate for probably the last 4 years. We've tried a few other things and they haven't really worked out, but yeah, cotton seems to be going pretty well at the moment.
We started trialling it last year. We knew nothing about growing cotton at all and saw a field day advertised at the Douglas Daly Research Station. They were looking for a couple of properties to trial it. We decided to stick our neck out and have a bit of a go at it.
Tipperary's growing 100 hectares of irrigated cotton, and we're growing 200 hectares of dryland cotton, but we prefer to call it rain-fed. In the past there's been a real bogey around growing cotton. Those bogeys have long been dispelled. We run a sustainable farm here. We're one of the few cattle stations or pastoral stations in the Northern Territory that run a conservation and rangelands manager. So we wouldn't be contemplating growing a crop that is going to damage our land or damage our soils, damage our very reputation. Because the reality is that this is a crop that uses far less water, uses far less chemicals than other crops that I grow on this station. Certainly not hurting the environment.
What we found is that our use of insecticide this year has been zero. We have to set aside refuge areas for bugs, etc., which also means they can continue to live happily in the environment. And we found that it actually is a soil improver and a property improver rather than the other.
I think we've done one insecticide spray on this crop, and it was a pretty soft insecticide, which is good, as in the past from what I've heard, they used to use a lot of insecticides every week or 2 weeks. I mean, that's a huge game changer.
The type of cotton we're growing currently is Bollgard 3, which is a genetically modified cotton which has a very, very good insect resistance built into it, which means the use of insecticides is maybe minimal, if not at all.
With the 2 trials that we've done here, we've seen the water usage reduced by about half. So it's somewhere around that 3.5 megalitres per hectare of applied irrigation water to grow the same crop of cotton. The myth around irrigators using all the water, and particularly cotton growers being bad guys and using all the water, I just need to dispel that myth. It just can't happen. Every farmer in the Northern Territory, like every farmer in Australia, has a water licence. I'm not using any more water than I'm allowed to use. It's licensed, and I will use the water the best way that I can see fit. We're under no illusions. We don't want to destroy the environment.
We're trialling dryland irrigation where we just rely on the rainfall. So we're juggling being able to grow cotton, planting it at the right time of year so that we can pick up the rainfall that we get from the monsoons to grow the cotton for us, rather than relying on our irrigation licence and irrigated cotton.
We've got 40 hectares of irrigated and 40 hectares of dryland cotton. We're sort of yeah, hoping the dryland will be the winner.
Because the Northern Territory wet season is probably something you don't get anywhere in Australia.
It's the first crop that we've ever had to slow down in growth. Usually we're trying to speed it up. So that was a bit of a change, but yeah, it's a drought crop. It does not use a lot of water.
Currently, the biggest issue too is moving the cotton interstate for processing. This involves, very high cost of transport.
If we could see a processing facility developed in Katherine, for example, and then see our own products exported through the north of Australia, then that would be a fantastic thing. Currently, the Australian market, the Australian export dollar, is around that $2 to $2.5 billion in cotton exports, and the level of employment is around about 12,500 people. They're not figures to be toyed with lightly. That's good earnings for Australia and good employment figures. And if we could increase those figures for the Northern Territory, well, then the flow-on effects are better infrastructure and better living conditions in the Northern Territory.
We buy tractors, we buy equipment, we buy fuel to put in those tractors, we buy tyres to put on them. We employ people to do it, and they buy food, and then they buy tyres for their cars to get around. We took a team photo of all the Tipperary staff yesterday. We try and do it every year. Our staff over the last 18 months has grown from 35 people to 49 people. We haven't done it because we like paying people for no output. It's done on the back of growing and emerging crops that are becoming economically viable for Tipperary to do it.
Hopefully there'll be a lot of economic growth in our business.
And hopefully it's just going to give us just something else that we can go into, not relying on the same things. Here we are very diversified, and I think a lot more people need to diversify. We can't all rely on the cattle industry, we're constantly fighting a battle. We've seen it here. We've seen, the cattle prices might be low, but the seed might be going all good, or the hay's good, or the hay's not good and the cattle prices are good. There's such a big market for cotton. I think, everyone can get their fair share of it, which is great. Something the Territory hasn't really seen before.
One great thing about the cotton industry is because it's a global market and an industry where we're not competing against the man over the fence, everyone's very keen to talk, discuss, pass on hints and be helpful, and that really makes a huge difference.
And the cotton industry has got a long and proud history of helping people. All the farmers have always helped each other. When new techniques are developed, then that spread throughout the industry.
I think people in the Territory, they want to see if it works for others. When you dig it into your back pocket, no one's going to just jump on a bandwagon real quick. We want to see figures, we want to see yields. But I honestly think that if we can prove that the dry land is going to be successful, I think that a lot more people will definitely be jumping on the bandwagon.
People have been searching, particularly in this Douglas-Daly region, but as far south as Katherine, and they've been searching for, I call it the silver bullet, the crop that you can grow in the north that you can actually make some money out of. I think this cotton is it. We've got the water supply, we've got good soils, we've got plenty of acreages, there's support. So I think this is going to be proved to be a perfect crop to grow in the north.